Today I will be reading Codex of the Underworld, Chthonic Gods. Hades. What is there to say about the Master? Master not just of the house in which I work, but of the entirety of the domain beneath the earth, the place we all end up after we die. He is a god of character, I have to give him that. In life, I once served someone who reminded me of him a little, yet even the knightliest of mortals pales in comparison. Suffice it then to say that the Lord Hades takes matters of his fate-appointed underworld in utmost seriousness. Yet his meticulous veneer gives way to impatience frequently enough, especially with his only son. This resentment extends to his never-ending work, for he presides over an endless procession of the dead. The Master claims he alone can tend to their affairs, but grudgingly I think he expects his son's support. After all, Lord Hades long since severed his ties with his family on Olympus, and leads a solitary life now. His son is his sole remaining connection to his family, and I fear it falters. Nyx, Mother Night we like to call her, though rare is the occasion when she dotes on us. She has her many children to look after, many of whom reside now in locales beyond my reckoning, and perhaps beyond hers. Yet, nonetheless, she toils about the Master's house and conducts such affairs that fail to reach his notice or gain his attention. She and the Master do enjoy a sort of harmony, for even as he tends personally to the dead, she watches over the domain itself. They tolerate each other in respect to one another's power. She could have made the Master's life eternally more difficult down here, if she so choose. Had every right to, perhaps, when her own daughters, the Fates, determined that the Master ought to govern where once she alone presided. But Mother Nyx does not possess a mortal's pridefulness, and her commitment to the underworld and her children is absolute. Zagreus. Take one look at him, and I think any questions of his parentage are soon resolved. He never seemed to like it much there, growing up within Lord Hades' well-appointed house. One day I took him on as a disciple, under orders from Lord Hades. The Master worried that his heir lacked any firm direction in his life, and indeed Zagreus took well to the martial ways. And I am proud to say now that he was my student. He was never insubordinate with me, despite his reputation. Perhaps my own lack of decorum in my youth made it easier for us to get along. He learned quickly, exhibiting his father's might and even greater swiftness. Yet he soon showed a quality that startled me much more. Forgive me, O God, you are not known for your kindness. But his son of the Lord Hades always regarded me, a mere shade, with respect, and the congenial manner of an old friend. Rumors swirl about the lad, about how he bleeds red like a mortal does. Well, if there's a trace of mortality in him, I am certain that he is better for it. I should know. Charon, the Stygian boatman, is a lot of things, although I am afraid he isn't much for conversation. I've tried, though perhaps not persuasively enough. I wonder where he finds the time to mill about, as sometimes he is prone. His duty as the shepherd of the recently deceased must keep him very busy overall. Yet even still he finds the time to collect trinkets and to sell them back to us, for reasons only he could understand. He seems to have a certain motivation of his own, but it cannot be fathomed, nor can the boatman's manner be deciphered by one such as me. I choose to think he serves a purpose higher even than the Master's own. Hypnos. It is said that sleep is the cousin of death. That turns out to be not quite correct, insofar as the two, in fact, are brothers, born to Nyx herself. The former of the two, we call him Hypnos. He whiles away half sleeping, watching over the pool of sticks in the foyer of the house, taking stock of those arriving in the Master's domain or returning to it. Though Hypnos may be lacking in propriety, he brings a certain cheer, however unconventional, into the grim proceedings of the house. It is a wonder that the Master is so tolerant of this. Some say it is because the Master is oblivious to Hypnos, but it is my choice to think that the Master secretly and silently enjoys the bits of levity the fellow purposefully or inadvertently provides. Thanatos. Few gods traverse the boundary that divides the surface realm where dwell the living, and this one where dwell the dead. Thanatos ranks high even among those of such authority and power. Although it is my Master who presides over the underworld, Thanatos is death itself, brother of sleep, an instrument in sending mortals on their way to the underworld, more peacefully than violently, mind you, as I did not encounter him myself, when my time came by Ares and Apollo's design. As death is swift and unavoidable to mortals, so is Thanatos devoted without question to his work. Fatherless, he honors always his mother, the goddess Nyx. He tirelessly serves his foreign master, whose son at least he adores, despite their opposing manner and outlook. Thanatos would never speak of this, but it is clear to me whence came the bond they share. My thought is that the master's son must be the god of blood, of life. Thus they are inexorably drawn. Megara. The ancient Fury sisters deal retribution for eternity against all those whose lives unspeakably befouled the lives of others. They each seem to relish their grim work, though none so much as Megara, the first among them. Her whip is very much notorious around these parts, and there are those who say she is more than my equal in the martial ways, a conjecture I see no reason to test. Though she by all accounts appears to lead a solitary life, she and the master's son do have some history, although I am not privy to the details, and know much better than to ask. I do, however, know what she herself has volunteered to me, as we have on occasion passed the off-work time together in the master's lounge. She has no parents. Her surrogate mother is the goddess Nyx. She resents the master's youthful son for words he spoke in careless arrogance. She follows the master's orders and honors him, but her commitment is to the house itself, I think. Alecto. Each of the ancient Fury sisters is preoccupied eternally with tormenting a certain swath of mortal crime, and Alecto enjoys the broadest swath of all, those who during their mortal days committed wrongful acts at the behest of their impulsive passions. With that being the case, I see it somewhat as a miracle that I myself avoided her barbed whip here in the underworld, and I am thankful for it, for Alecto's reputation paints her as being best given the widest possible berth. That she appears to be on questionable terms with her own sisters, and is not permitted in the house of Hades, due to profane acts of insubordination long past, perhaps is all that needs to be said of her for now. Tisiphone. Among each of the deathless Fury sisters, the one known as Tisiphone is probably responsible for the particularly fearsome reputation they all share, both on the surface of the earth and here below. This is, of course, not to diminish the deserved notoriety that they each in turn have earned through their efficient torturing of those who have tried to get away with terrible misdeeds in life. And yet, Tisiphone, among the three, least shares the qualities with which mortals can identify. What could have caused Tisiphone to focus so relentlessly upon her task of punishing murder? She is unlikely to ever say, although the tales of the Furies having come from the spilt blood of the eldest of the Titans offers fertile ground for speculation on the matter. Chaos. Even Nyx, our Mother Night, comes from somewhere. Even the Olympians above, and Master Hades himself, eternal though they are. They came onto this world after they, or their ancestors, sprang from the darkness of chaos. Here, within the underworld, we are closer to chaos than the mortals and the gods above, closer to the first, long-forgotten primordial consciousness, oft forgotten now or believed dead and gone. Yet, as all of us residing in this realm are well aware, the dead survive eternally, and thus are closer to the gods. Perhaps then all of us exist and make our choices precisely as chaos envisioned in ancient eons past. Nyx certainly seems to think so. From what little she has said of her parent, it seems the two broke ties at some point, not for any specific cruelty, but as a wolf cub leaves her pack, seeking her own way. Thus, having grown apart, their connection weakened and failed. All they now share is a solitary fate.